Well, with companies in Britain and beyond struggling to recruit and the cost of living on the rise, workers are, not surprisingly, expecting higher pay. But how long can businessmen afford it? Sean Farrington is in the studio in London with that and today's other business news. Morning, Sean.
Morning, Liz. Yes, it really is a global problem. We had somebody get in touch with me this morning saying they saw a sign in Galway saying, please be patient. There is a global staff shortages issue at the moment. That's the message people are trying to get across. We've got new research suggesting private sector workers expecting an average pay rise of 4% this year, the highest figure since records began. But the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development says pay can't keep rising in the long term and that the labour market could soon reach its peak. I've got Candice Mason, who runs Mason's Coaches in Hertfordshire, with me now. Morning, Candice.
Good morning.
Let's talk about the pay of the staff you have already first. Are you having to increase that?
Yes, we've increased our staff salaries by between 17 and 20% this year.
17 and 20%. So that's just this year.
Yeah, that's just this year.
Why are you having to raise it that much?
So we're really struggling to recruit drivers. One of the things we wanted to work on as a business was trying to retain the drivers that we had. So we've done, as obviously we recognise there's a cost of living crisis and that our drivers were really struggling with that. So we wanted to increase salaries to support them with that. We've also done some work around sort of flexible working conditions, conditions of the employment to try and support them. But equally, we have struggled so much to recruit. We were hoping that the higher salary would help us attract new staff, but unfortunately it's basically made no difference at all.
Right. I mean, could you keep raising pay in the long term for the drivers that you have?
No, we wouldn't be able to. This is probably about as much as we would be able to push to. We've been really lucky that we've had a fair surge of a summer, and I think a lot of businesses are saying that this has been a particularly busy year, and it's really great after the last few years. But being able to staff it has been so stressful, and at times it's felt completely relentless.
And this study that's out this morning says that more than half of employers in the transport sector have vacancies that are hard to fill.
Yeah.
That obviously sounds very familiar from what you're describing. But what is it? If you're putting up pay by 20% and sticking that on the job description, why aren't people signing up?
There simply are not enough bodies in the industry. We find it very difficult in the coach industry to recruit from young people. There isn't an apprenticeship scheme to become a coach driver. It's very, very difficult to get drivers insured under the age of 21. And if we are lucky to get them insured from 21 onwards, they have a lack of experience driving £300,000 vehicles. So they're very expensive to insure. So we miss them coming out of school where they might aspire to go into that industry. We're then looking to recruit from people who are already employed. The industry is, any driving job is tough. It's often very long hours out on the road, away from families. It doesn't give a very good work-life balance. There isn't a lot of flexibility. If you've got a group of people going to Scotland for a week, that's you gone for a week. So it's actually quite difficult to recruit from people who are already in established, balanced work positions. Historically, driving hasn't been a particularly well-paid industry to enter into. So you're then trying to compete with people wanting to change careers, but potentially looking at something that's got more work-life balance and pays a decent salary and not so much time away. So we've always found it quite a difficult industry to recruit to, but the last 2 years it's just been exasperated.
Well, Candice, thanks for joining us and laying out those issues for your business. Very reflective for many across the transport sector at the moment. Candice Mason from Mason's Coaches in Hertfordshire.